When a man grows his leadership capacity, the high places of life will make room for him. And to back up that thing he said, Jack Welch, who was one time chairman of CEO of General Electric, he said, before you are a leader, success was all about growing yourself. But when you become a leader, success is about growing others. I'd like you to know that every Tuesday here on Life Center Network, we'll handle what we call Leader Upgrade from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. And I'm your anchor man. If you miss it for anything, your leadership ratings will be in doubt. I'd like you to know, the more you watch this, apply the things you like, your leadership rating will go high. Don't forget that it happens on Life Center Network, 2 p.m. every Tuesday, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. Listen, don't touch that dial. Keep watching Life Center Network TV.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook at Life Center Network TV. Keep watching Life Center Network TV, your gateway to possibilities. Thanks for watching.
Hello everyone. According to the lead pastor of Gateway International Church, my own father, Pastor George Zuma, said, when a man grows his leadership capacity,
I'd like you to know, once you take in oxygen, you are a leader. So today, we'll be diving into something that will take us for almost a month to unpack. And what is that? The leadership and followership voyage. How to shift from a mentee to a mentor. How to shift from a follower to a leader. How to shift from, you see, the values will be unpacking on this. So we want to take it gradually so that you don't, I don't overfeed you in one day. If somebody you know you're going to feed for 10 years, why do you want to overfeed the person in one day? So how to shift from a mentee to a mentor. And I'll be reading just 2 Bible passages in 3 different translations. Isaiah chapter 55, 3-5, New Living Translation. I said how to shift from what? From a mentee to a mentor. So I call it the leadership and followership voyage. It's a journey. It's a trip. See, leadership is not a sprint. It's a marathon. So those who want to see what we call a zubo according to Nigerian balance will not indulge in the journey of leadership because it is a marathon. So in Isaiah chapter 55, 3-5, New Living Translation says, come to me with your ears wide open. Listen, and you will find life. I will make an everlasting covenant with you. I will give you all the unfailing love I promised to David. See how I used him to display my power among the peoples. I made him a leader among the nations. You also will command nations you do not know, and peoples unknown to you will come running to obey, because I, the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel, have made you glorious. The leadership and the followership voyage. Now here how Proverbs chapter 12 verse 24, New Living Translation said, work hard and become a leader. Be lazy and become a slave. Work hard. So as far as New Living Translation is called, Proverbs 12:24 say, you are either a leader or you are a slave. He said, work hard and become a leader. Be lazy and become a slave. Now, the one that startles me so much is the TPT rendition of the same Proverbs 12:24. The TPT that means the Passion Translation. He said, if you want to reign in life, don't sit on your hands. Instead, work hard at doing what's right. For the slacker will end up working to someone to make someone else succeed. Let me read it again. If you want to reign in life, that's if you want to be a leader in politics, in education, in media, in arts and entertainment, in all of these 7 mountains of influence, he said, if you want to reign in life, don't sit on your hands. Instead, work hard at doing what's right. For the slacker will end up working to make someone else succeed. Now, that's why I start with this. Life is a race, and those who don't run to win become victims of circumstances. Life is a race. You see, 2 days ago I was watching Nigeria Wire, and I liked the week of the big cat. and I saw I saw the lion, and he saw so many antelopes. And you know what the lions they do when they see so many antelopes? They focus only on one. They can even run past others, but so long as it's not the one they are looking for. So in the jungle, is survival of the fittest. If the lion must not go hungry, he must be faster than the antelope. And if the antelope must not die that day, he must be faster than the lion. So life is a race. And if you don't run to win, you become a victim of circumstances. And that's what we're talking about. And the second thing is that success in life revolves around leadership. Now, success in life revolves around what? Leadership. First, leading yourself and leading others. Success in life revolves around leadership. You lead yourself before leading others. Why? Because self-leadership is what? Effective management of yourself, your tasks, your resources, and other people. Your tasks, your time, your resources, and other people. So if you don't effectively manage yourself, manage your resources, manage your time, manage your task, it will be difficult to manage others. So the second thing is that success in life revolves around leadership and leading yourself and leading others. Everything they say rises and falls on leadership. He said, I was listening to John Maxwell. He said, everything rises and falls on leadership, but leadership rises and falls on communication. Wow. Everything in life rises and falls on leadership. But he now said that leadership rises and falls on communication. Because without communication, the leader travels alone. So success in life revolves around leadership. And that leadership we're talking about is that you lead yourself first and lead others. I would say that leading yourself means what? Effective management of yourself, your task, your resources, your time, before talking about managing others. So success in life, everything rises and falls on leadership, whereas leadership revolves around communication. Everything rises and falls on leadership. When leadership fails, everything fails. When leadership fails, everything fails. They say that in an African proverb, it said, when a fish wants to get spoiled, it starts from the head. When a fish wants to get spoiled, it starts from the head. So everything rises and falls on leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership. So check your leadership. And the leadership we are talking about is not what you do to others. Rather, we are talking about effective management of your time, your task, and your resources, and then others. So now, like I said to you, I'm going to take it very gradually. I don't want to unpack so many things because the values are much by the grace of God. So we'll take it gradually. So today I'll be focusing on what the definition of leadership. What is the definition of leadership? What then is leadership? If everything rises and falls on leadership, what is leadership? How do you describe leadership? How do you define leadership? What do you see and you say somebody is a leader? Number one, leadership is taking responsibility to make life better for yourself and for others. Leadership is taking responsibility to make life better for yourself and for others. That is what leadership is all about. Abraham Lincoln, one time American president, said, he said, responsibility is the price of greatness. When you take responsibility to make life better first for yourself and then for others, that is leadership. Now, like I said to you, I'm going to spend time describing, explaining, giving illustration. So we're not in a hurry. So this first definition I gave, the man who epitomizes taking responsibility to make life better for himself and for others, is a man I call Nelson Mandela. You see, Nelson Mandela was incarceration for 27 years. Out of the 27 years, he spent 18 years in Robben Island. And then they met him several, asked him to give up the fight over the appetite. South Africa must be free and the rest of them. Some have given their lives, some have died by virtue of the apartheid. And Nelson Mandela said, this is a dream I can take a bullet for. I want to take responsibility to make life better for others, if not even for myself, but making life better for others. And Nelson Mandela spent that time, 27 years in prison, fighting for freedom. He took responsibility. He took a bullet for his dream. And one day, so many years later, he was freed. Contested, became the first South African black president. And he stood his ground because he took responsibility. Only responsible people will take responsibility. And like they said, responsibility is responding to your ability. First definition of leadership is taking responsibility to make life better for yourself and for others. I don't know where you are. I don't know what leadership you are taking, whether in the politics, in education, in family, in religion, in the media, in arts and entertainment, in business. Are you taking responsibility to make life better for others and for yourself? If you are not, then when we get to the misconception of leadership, you find out that that's where you are. Leadership is taking responsibility to make life better for yourself and for others. That brings me to the second definition of what leadership is. Leadership is winning influence over people through service. I love this. Leadership is winning influence over people through service. Not through manipulation, not through coercion. Leadership, that is the second definition of what leadership is. Leadership is winning influence over people through service. Why? When I ask you, where are you leading? I'm asking, where are you serving? When I ask you, where are you serving? I'm asking you, where are you leading? You see, I love how Simon Sinek puts it because it resonates with me. He said, if service is below you, then leadership is beyond you. If service is below you, then leadership is beyond you. Why? Leadership is winning influence over people through service. And that brings me to what my Mother Teresa said. I'm also still explaining leadership definition number 2. Look, hear what Mother Teresa said. If you can't feed 100 people, then feed just one. Why? Helping hands are better than praying lips. Peace begins with a smile. Service to mankind is service to God. Let me read that again because this makes a lot of sense to me. If you can't feed 100 people, then feed just one. Why? Helping hands are better than praying lips. Peace begins with a smile. Why? Service to mankind is service to God. You see, even the Holy Scripture epitomizes that when in Matthew chapter 25, Jesus said, you saw me hungry and you did not feed me. You saw me naked and you did not clothe me. You saw me in prison and you did not visit me. I said, they thought to him, I said, when did we see you naked, hungry, in prison, and we didn't attend to you? He said, when you saw one of these little ones, when you saw one of these people, so when you serve mankind, he said, when you saw them in prison, you saw them naked, you saw them hungry, and you did not attend to them, he said, they represented me. So what does that mean? Service to mankind is service to God. Whenever you are serving man, you are serving Jesus. It doesn't matter what you do for a living. Whenever you serve man, you have served Jesus. You have served God. Why? Service to mankind is service to God. Because leadership is winning influence over people through service. I remember the story of a woman called Oziola McCarthy, who was a washerwoman saving coins in a bank, and because she dropped out of school at the age of 13 to go and take care of her sick aunt, and then she said to herself, before I die, somebody must graduate from a university from me being the person's benefactor. And then, so many years later, Zola Makati went to the bank and they asked me, Zola, do you know how much you have in the bank? He said, I don't know. So they brought out like 10 coins. I said, let's assume that these 10 coins represent how much you have in the bank. Because Zola Makati has saved $256,000. And they asked her, what do you want to do with this money? He brought out some coins. He said, this one will go to church. Brought out another coin. He said, this one will go to indigenous students, University of Mississippi, African indigenous students. And he brought out a little coin. He said, this is to take care of my cousins. Why? You don't need a title to be a leader. Leadership is winning influence over people through service. And before Zolo Makati died, as she died, they said to one of our beneficiaries, say, your benefactor had gone to be with the Lord. Guess what that young girl said? Heaven couldn't have produced a better angel like her. Leadership is winning influence over people through service. When you are serving in your house of God, you are a leader. When you are serving in your company, not just because of salary, you are a leader. When you are serving and touching the life of, you are a leader. That is the third definition of leadership. Leadership is winning influence over people through service. Even Jesus epitomizes service. He said the Son of God didn't come as one who wants to be a Lord, but he says the one who come to serve. You see, in John chapter 13, Jesus, the Bible says, when supper had ended, Jesus took towel by himself, poured water in a basin, and called for the disciples and began to wash their feet. And that was the only place. And when Jesus finished, he said, you call me Lord, you call me Master, but I wash your feet. He said, go and do the same to others. Leadership is winning influence over people through service. When I ask you where you are leading, I'm asking, where are you serving? Because leadership is service and service is leadership. Third definition of leadership. I'm going to spend a lot of time defining leadership today. Even if that's what we'll stop, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Number 3, leadership is bearing the goal burden of a task and working to achieve it. Leadership is when you bear the burden of a goal and carry the task and working to achieve it. You see, even my ICT people had to use Mbappe to illustrate that. You check 2022 World Cup. Argentina scored 3 goals in the final. Only Mbappe scored 3 goals in that same final. Why? He needed to show that he was a leader. He was their captain. So, bearing the goal, the burden of a task that we need to win this World Cup. They wanted to return the World Cup. You know, they won it in 2018. They won it in 2018 in Russia. Now, wanted to repeat it again in Qatar. But there was another man who showed that he also wanted to bear the burden of a task of winning the World Cup. Because if he had missed it, there would have been no World Cup in his gallery. And his name is Lionel Messi. Lionel Messi, who was 36 then, carried it upon himself and said, I have played World Cup. I have played the last final they played was in 2014 with Germany, and Germany won. And in 2018, he didn't proceed further. And then in 2022, and then this young man, they lost their first match to Saudi Arabia. Guess what? Saudi Arabia declared public holiday. Because for an oil country, Saudi Arabia is not a football nation, so to speak. I'm not saying they don't play football, but they can't call them world powers in football. But they beat Argentina with a football nation. First match in Qatar, and Saudi Arabia went, declared public holiday. I believe they must have given some people oil. But you see, if Argentina didn't lose that first match, I'm not sure they would have won the World Cup. But a young man called Lionel Messi, 36 years of age, bore the burden of the goal, of the task, and walking towards achieving the World Cup. Because he has been ridiculed severally. That he plays well for Barcelona, plays well for PSG, plays well at the club side. But he has no name, so to speak, in Argentina. Well, before then, I won the Finadecima. I won the Copa America. So, this time around, they say, no, I have to bear the burden. I have to work towards achieving this goal of winning the World Cup. And what happened? At the end of the day, Lionel Messi was crowned the world champion. That was the only thing, only trophy, only laurel, only silverware missing in his gallery. And he has won Ballon d'Or 8 times. Leadership is bearing the gold burden of a task and working to achieve it. What task, what burden are you bearing? What task? You see, Jack Welch, I love him so much. The CEO, one-time CEO and chairman, General Electric, he said, before you became a leader, success was all about growing yourself. But when you become a leader, success is about growing others. So leadership is bearing the gold burden of a task and working to achieve it. Bearing the gold burden of a task and working to achieve it. We moved to a place we call our Altar of Mercy Ground, very big place. But you see my leader, my lead pastor, my CEO was carrying the burden of the task of achieving that thing. When we told people, when he announced that we're going to do our Visions of Destiny there in 2023 there, including top leaders like leaders in the church, didn't believe that that was possible. Because the groundbreaking was done in February. Okay, that place was paid for in February. By March and all of that. So how do you enter the April in July? But you see, Visions of Destiny 2023 took place in there. So why? A leader bore the gold burden of a task and working to achieve it. So that's the third definition of leadership. It is bearing the gold burden of a task and working to achieve it. Definition number 4. What then is leadership? Leadership is going ahead of your mate and producing results superior to theirs. Hey! Leadership is going ahead of your mates and producing results superior to theirs. That's what leadership is. You go ahead of your mates and you begin to produce results superior to theirs. And the story I want to tell is the story of a young man, Jesse James. I love this young man so much. Jesse James is an African-American sprinter and a long jumper. In 1923, he met his coach and said to his coach that he wants to be a star. Don't forget, every star has a scar, and the scar of every star is sacrifice. Every star has a scar, and the scar of every star is sacrifice. So, met his coach, and the coach said to him, "Are you sure you want to be a star in track and field event?" He said, "Yes, I want to be a star." And then he asked him to sit down. I know that it wasn't only Jesse James or Jesse Owens as they call him. Jesse Owens or Jesse James is the same guy. I believe the other mates, other teammates, other athletes who were his friends and mates were there when his coach sat them down and gave them 4 ingredients for becoming a star. 4 prizes you need to pay, because every prize has a prize. Every prize has a price. Every prize has price. So, his coach said to him, there are 4 things on the ladder if you want to become a star in track, in any field, whether it is ministry, business, politics. The coach said to him, number 1 is dedication. Number 2 is determination. Number 3 is discipline. And number 4 is sacrifice. What? Number 1 is dedication. Number 2 is determination. Number 3 is discipline. And number 4 is sacrifice. What? Number 4. 4 things. Discipline, dedication, determination, and sacrifice. And Jesse James said, is that all? The coach said, that's all. If you pay the price of determination, the price of dedication, the price of discipline, and the price of sacrifice. When you hear sacrifice, we don't mean to go and drop seed on the altar. That's part of it. But sacrifice will mean deferring gratification. And this young man dropped everything and said, my coach said what? Dedication, determination, discipline, and sacrifice. That was in 1923. And in Berlin's Olympics in 1936, that is 13 years later. Viewers, everyone listening to me, you're a politician, you're a businessman, you're a pastor, whatever you do, you're a media guru, you're in education. This young man won 4 gold medals because Jesse James became the story, turned out to be the most popular hero of the games, because the African-American sprinter and long jumper, Jesse James, won 4 gold medals in 100 meters, in 200 meters, in 400 meter relay race, and in long jump. And his 100 meters record took 22 years to be broken. His 100 meters record took 22 years to be broken. Why? Leadership is going ahead of your mates and producing results superior to theirs. What sacrifice, what dedication, what determination, what discipline will you give to your task, will you give to your endeavors that will make you to go ahead of your mates and begin to produce superior results? That's what leadership is all about. You see, my own lead mentor and coach, Pastor George Zuma, said, no man can give life an amateur attention and expect to have a professional result. You can't give politics an amateur attention and expect to have a professional result. You can't give your business an amateur attention and expect to have a professional result. You can't give your education an amateur attention and expect to get a professional result. You can't give your ministry an amateur attention and expect to get a professional result. Leadership is going ahead of your mates and producing results superior to theirs. If you pay the price, you go home with the prize. Once you pay the price, P-R-I-C-E, you will go home with the prize, P-R-I-Z-E. Number 5. What then is leadership? The 5th definition of leadership. Leadership is anything you do and any service you render to add value to life. Oh, I love this. Leadership is anything you do and any service you render to add value to life. That's what leadership is. Leadership is anything you do and any service you render to add value to life. See, I was reading the core value of Enjoy and Equip, which is the mentorship coaching company of John C. Maxwell. And the topmost in their core value is adding value to people. Hence, he said, when leaders stop adding value to people, leaders should stop leading people. Each time I read this, it hits my head. So I ask myself every day, how can I add value to people? Every day. What do I do to add value to people? Leadership is anything you do and any service you render to add value to life. I believe that this privilege my pastor gave to me to be here every Tuesday, 2 o'clock to 3 p.m. is adding value to you. Because whatever you see me unpacking is what I learned from him. A messenger does not tell a proverb. I am just a messenger. Because my own lead mentor and coach has added value to me. So my work is to repay him upfront by adding value to others. You see, he's the same guy. They said there are 3 S in life. The first S is survivor. Survivor, you're just trying to live your life. You're trying to make sure that you are alive. But that's not what God created us to. God didn't create us for survivor. Now the next thing is success. Success is when you add value to yourself. But God did not create us to just come to be successful. God created us to be significant. And what is significance? Significance is when you start adding value to others. So leadership is significant living. Leadership is anything you do and any service you render to add value to life. Whose life have you changed? Who have you added value to? You see, I look at the life of David, the king of Israel, who looked at 400 men who were in distress, 400 men who were discontented, 400 men who were in debt. And he began to pass them through the school of Adullam, pass them to the university of Adullam. And the Bible now called them mighty men of David. What happened to them? A leader has added value to them. So leadership is anything you do and any service you render to add value to life. The question is, are you adding value to life, or you are manipulating people? You are either motivating people or you are manipulating people. That's what leadership is all about. Final definition. Even if I stop here, that's okay. But I'm going to take it further. Final definition of leadership. Leadership. The fulfillment of leadership is knowing that your life had made other lives better. That's the fulfillment of leadership. The fulfillment of leadership is knowing that your life has made other lives better. Wow. Someone must reference you in their rising. In Acts chapter 4 verse 13, I'm going to read from the Passion Translation. Acts chapter 4 verse 13. He said, the council members were astonished as they witnessed the bold courage of Peter and John, especially when they discovered that they were just ordinary men who had never had religious training. Then they began to understand the effect Jesus had on them simply by spending time with him. This guy said, we know this Peter, we know this guy. Apart from being fishermen, they don't have any educational background. They don't even have any ministry training. How come these idiots are producing miracles that are undeniable? Look at the conclusion. Then they began to understand the effect Jesus had on them simply by spending time with him. When you spend time with a leader, it becomes contagious. Whatever the leader carries, you carry. They spend time with Jesus. Idiots become transformational change agents. Who will reference you when you have gone? Or who is referencing you now? I was looking at the tribute that Mark Zuckerberg paid to Steve Jobs. That it was Steve Jobs who made complex things simple for him. So Steve Jobs mentored Mark Zuckerberg, and now Mark Zuckerberg is referencing Steve Jobs, that whatever he is today, that the credit goes to Mark Zuckerberg, goes to Steve Jobs. What about Bill Gates? Bill Gates looked at the life of Warren Buffett and said, you simply taught us that the leader of this century are those who have empowered others. Bill Gates is saying, Warren Buffett empowered me. What about Richard Branson, the CEO of Virgin Atlantic? He said, if not for Freddie Laker, who was one time working with British Airways, that there was no way he would have gone far in airline business. So Mark Zuckerberg references Steve Jobs. Bill Gates speaks of the influence Warren Buffett had on him. And Richard Branson testifies that Freddie Laker was the one that brought him that far. Who is referencing you? Whose life are you influencing? And finally, for today, there are 6 common misconceptions about leadership. 6 common misconceptions about leadership. You see, because a lot of people confuse leadership with what? Headship, big titles, and fame. A lot of people confuse leadership with what? Headship, big titles, and fame. So, I'm going to give you 6 misconceptions about leadership, and then we're wrapping it up for today. The first misconception is the Oga at the top. That is position misconception. That people say leaders are people who occupy big offices. No, that Oga at the top is a misconception of leadership. When people are given leadership positions that simply have been invited to the leadership table, that does not automatically make them a leader. So that's a misconception. The Oga at the top misconception, which means position. So when people occupy big offices, people say they are leaders. No. That does not mean if you have big office, doesn't make you. It means that if you use the big office well, that makes you a leader. The second misconception is the Superman misconception, which means when leaders are those who do extraordinary things, achievement. So whenever somebody has not achieved, you say he's not a leader. You don't forget there's something called the law of the process. Law of process. So the first one is the oga at the top misconception, which means position. When you occupy big office, people say you're a leader. It's not. The second one is Superman misconception, which means if I've achieved anything, if you have done extraordinary things, that you are a leader. No. Leadership, from the 6th definition I gave you, did you see anyone like no? The third misconception is the ITK misconception. What is ITK? I do know. That means until you are an expert, leaders have answers to every life problems. If my leader cannot answer any question I ask him, then he's not a leader. No, you don't need to be an expert. Every pro used to be an amateur, and every expert used to be a disaster. So the first one is the yoga at the top, the second one is the Superman, the third one is the ITK, the expert. No, leaders have answers. Your leaders don't need to have answers to every life problem before you call them a leader. The fourth misconception is the idol misconception, which means perfection. Leaders don't have the struggles of ordinary people. There's this series they used to run those days. The title is "The Rich Also Cry." So don't ever think that the leaders you are seeing today, the great men of God you are seeing, the business mogul you are seeing, don't have struggles. They have struggles. John Maxwell said, there is no success I'm enjoying today that I did not fail at. The issue that you didn't see the struggles. You're only seeing the success because the struggles happen behind the scene. It was Dan Godu that said he has tried so many businesses that didn't work out. Even Richard Branson. And my lead pastor will always tell you, we are not afraid to make mistakes. There are programs we started and he looked at it, they didn't give us what we want, we stopped them. So leaders are not those who don't have like struggles. They have struggles like ordinary human beings. Number 5 is the boss man misconception, which means authority. Leaders are those who rule over others. No. Leaders are not those who rule over others. I gave you 6 definitions, and now I'm giving you 6 misconceptions also. Leaders are not those who rule over others. And then the last one, the born great. That is destiny misconception. Leaders are people born with leadership charisma. Leaders are not born. People grow into leadership. People grow into leadership. When they notice some threats in them, they grow into it. So today, we have spent time talking about the leadership and the followership voyage. How to shift from a mentee to a mentor. And I read for you Isaiah chapter 55. Sorry, Isaiah chapter 55, yes, 3-5 from New Living Translation. I also read for you Proverbs 12:24, New Living Translation. Work hard and become a leader. Be lazy and become a slave. And I read it for you again, Proverbs 12:24. The same from TPT translation. If you want to reign in life, don't sit on your hands. Instead, work hard at doing what is right, for the slacker will end up working to make someone else succeed. I was started by saying, introduction, life is a race, and those who don't run to win become victims of circumstances. I would say success in life revolves around leadership, leading yourself and leading others, because everything rises and falls on leadership. And we'll now begin to define for you what leadership is. We say number 1, leadership is taking responsibility to make life better for yourself and for others. We use Abraham Lincoln as an example and Nelson Mandela. Number 2, say leadership is winning influence over people through service. And we use Mother Teresa as an example. Number 3, we say leadership is bearing the gold burden of a task and working to achieve it. We use Mbappe, Kylian Mbappe, who is the captain of France national team in the 2022 Qatar, and then how Lionel Messi paid the price, bought the burden, worked hard to achieve the World Cup. And then we say number 4, leadership is going ahead of your mates and producing results superior to theirs. And I use Jesse James, a young man who won 4 gold medals in 1936 Berlin Olympics. He won gold medal in 100 meters, in 200 meters, in 400 relay race, and in long jump. And number 5, we say that leadership is anything you do and any service you render to add value to life. And I use Enjoy and Equip as an example. I also can use Impact Ministers Mentoring Outreach, the one run by my lead mentor and my pastor, where he's adding value to other pastors who are not pastors in Gateway, pastoring their own churches. I see lead pastors of other churches, and they are making waves. So adding value to people requires intentionality, and my pastor does what we call intentional ministry. And the last one will say that the fulfillment of leadership is knowing that your life has made other lives better. And we use the example of Jesus, who turned the fishermen, ordinary idiots, into transformational change agents. And I said to you that we used Steve Jobs, who mentored Mark Zuckerberg. We brought Bill Gates, who was influenced by Warren Buffett. We talked about Freddie Laker, who made Richard Branson to succeed in airline business. And we said there are 6 common misconceptions about leadership. Number 1, because a lot of people confuse leadership with what? Headship, big titles, and fame. And then we said, number 1, the first misconception about leadership is the Oga at the top, which means position misconception. Leaders are people who occupy big offices. You can occupy big office and yet you are not a leader. Number 2 is the Superman achievement misconception. Leaders are those who do extraordinary things. No, you don't need to do extraordinary things to be. You can do ordinary things in an extraordinary way. Number 3 is the ITK expert misconception. Leaders have answers to every life problem. No, you don't need to have a solution to every life problem to become a leader. You can see some problems, you don't have a solution to them, you are still a leader. Number four is the idol perfection misconception, where they say leaders don't have the struggles of ordinary people. Leaders do have struggles of ordinary people. They do. Bible describing our own leader, our model of leadership, Jesus Christ he said, we do not have a high priest who is not touched with the infirmity of our body, that even though he was tempted in every way, yet without sin. That means Jesus feels what we feel. He does. He felt what we are feeling. The 5th one is the bossman authority misconception. Leaders are those who rule over others. You don't need to rule over others to become a leader. And then the last one is the born great destiny misconception. Leaders are people born with leadership charisma. No. You develop yourself into it, because when we delve into next week other things, I'd like you to know that as you move into this and you begin to develop yourself into these areas and definition of leadership, you will start a voyage. You move from a mentee to a mentor. You move from a follower to a leader. You move from success to significance. And I guarantee you that you're going to leave a mark on the earth, so that at the end, your epitaph will read, this is the man that served his generation according to the will of God. That when you die empty. Whatever God has invested in you for your generation, you will release it into your generation before you go to be with the Lord. This is the leader upgrade that happens here every Tuesday on Life Center Network, on Fulcrum International, on YouTube, on Impact Minister Mentoring Outreach, on Fulcrum, on Gateway International Church, and all the places of top leadership. I'd like you to know we unpack values for you, because I am sent here by a leader. My own lead mentor and lead pastor, Pastor George Zunwa, teaches, come here to unpack what he has taught me, and that's what I'm reproducing here to you. Every Tuesday here on Life Center Network, on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, and everywhere, we are there to unpack values for you on leadership. Don't downgrade your life. Rather, upgrade your life so that your dreams can meet you there. Every Tuesday, we'll pack value to you. My name is Emeka Kalu. I am the director for church planting here in Gateway International Church, and also coordinating the satellite churches. I also pastor our Trans-Amadi Satellite Church, just opposite Gulf Estate. Just come there, we'll give you coffee in the morning to keep you warm and you enjoy the presence of God. But till I come your way again, don't forget that by 10:30 today, until the month is over, every Sunday to Thursday, we'll have what we'll call the Altar of Mercy, but the Midnight Cry edition. My pastor will allow his satellite pastors or pastors that he will send to pray for a few minutes, and then he will come up, minister to you powerfully. It is called our Midnight Cry, and the Vigils of Destiny holds every Friday in the month of July. Last week was awesome. This week will be glorious. Don't miss it for anything. In case you want to make inquiries, don't forget we have 0702 5000 950 0702 5000 950. You say, well, I want to reach out to you, and how can I get more of what you have learned today? Well, 0809 666 3638. 0809 666 3638. My name is Emeka Kalu. So I come your way again. Make sure you are adding value to your generation. You are adding value to people and turning ordinary people to leaders. That's what we live for. At the end, the chief shepherd, the leader of all leaders, will reward you for the impact you made in the life of others. Don't forget that legacy is leaving something behind, whereas posterity is leaving somebody behind. Make sure your leadership in politics, in business, in education, in family, in religion, in media, in arts and entertainment, leaves somebody behind. God bless you. Amen.
Are you ready for another season of God's encounters?
A mass in her stomach for the past 5 years.
A mass in the stomach.
In the stomach. It was
on the right side.
Yes, sir.
This can confirm it.
Huh?
It used to be very painful.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I lie down, I will feel the mass.
Yeah.
Very strong and
Yeah.
painful. But as we were praying, the mass I didn't feel anything.
Gateway International Church brings you Vigils of Destiny 2024 with the theme, God is a Good God.
The person I'm talking to right now received a miracle.
It will be a time of prayers, prophecy, miracles, deliverance, and the move of God like never before. Ministering Reverend Intia.
Hanging prophecies are fulfilled.
Reverend Sam Oye.
In the name of the sovereign Son of the living God.
And the host pastor, Pastor George Izumwa.
Your hand above your head. Every dark area of your life today, let light invade it.
Date every Friday in the month of July, 5th, 12th, 19th, and 26th of July 2024. Time 10 p.m. till dawn. Venue Altar of Mercy Grounds, Gateway International Church, St. John Obogoro Road, Wumelimini, Port Harcourt, and all her satellite branches. You can stream live on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at GIC Family and at George Izumwa. Listen live on Mixlr at the Gateway Radio and watch live on TV on Live Center Network. Come and experience visible, notable, undeniable positive change. Are you ready for another season of God's encounters?
A mass in her stomach for the past 5 years.
A mass in the stomach.
In the stomach. It was
on the right side.
Yes, sir.
This can confirm it.
Huh?
It used to be very painful.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I lie down, I will feel the mass.
Yeah.
Very strong and
Yeah.
painful. But as we were praying, the mass I didn't feel anything.
Gateway International Church brings you Vigils of Destiny 2024 with the theme, God is a Good God.
The person I'm talking to right now received a miracle.
It will be a time of prayers, prophecy, miracles, deliverance, and the move of God like never